start anywhere else in the world, no. Nowhere else. Not past, new, social, only Manchester. Just in Manchester. Honestly, it was a revolution. A revolution ripped through the fibres of the clothes. Them tunes vibrating in your ears to every goal you saw on that terrace. It was all one. It all started here, the northwest Manchester. We thought we were changing the world. You know what? I think we did.
Close your eyes and imagine feeling like a stranger in the place you were. Never able to truly relax, mind always primed for danger, body poised to react. Facing the impossible, witnessing the unwatchable. Missing life's simple pleasures so the rest of us can enjoy them. Imagine having to do this, understanding the risk, but knowing it is the right thing to do. Close your eyes and know that because of all this, we will always be there for you.
A very good afternoon to you all and welcome along to Matchday Live. It is back to the Premier League for Manchester City as we take on Crystal Palace at the Etihad Stadium. My name is Cel Spellman and joining me in the studio today is Jolene Lescott and Stephen McInerney. As we await in the stadium, we can see our boys arriving here. Bernardo Silva, João Cancelo, Gabriel Jesus, Ederson, Kyle Walker, all making up, Fernandinho actually, all making their way into the stadium. A little bit later than usual today actually for those who aren't at the ground. They usually are a bit before. They're running a bit behind, a bit like myself. Manchester traffic, everybody. Oh, wow. Manchester traffic. And there he is, man of the moment as well, Cole Palmer. Be interesting to see if he makes the starting 11 after, of course, starting in that midweek game against West Ham. So here we are, set up in the Etihad Stadium, and in the studio, as I said, is Jolene Lescott and Stephen McInerney. Thank you so much for joining us on Match Day Live ahead of our game against Crystal Palace, where we also have a very welcome and warm return to a name and man that I think we all know and love, Patrick Vieira, of course, the coach now of Crystal Palace. We'll be speaking more about him a little bit later. Jolene, I think we were saying before the show, it's our first game together, isn't it, this season? Yeah,
I've done a few with Nat and JMO, but yeah, no, first...
Missed you.
And you. I never nearly missed you when you was late. Well, I was like,
hey, okay, yeah.
I'll just leave you to have a little thing together.
Sorry,
Man, it's fine,
We've been together, Stephen. How are you doing as well? You all right,
man? I'm good. Yeah? I'm happy now I've seen your face. You know what I mean?
Thank you, guys.
All good.
Oh, guys, stop it. Just a quick word on the midweek game, of course. League Cup, Manchester City Cup is no more. It was tough.
Give everyone else a chance.
Hey, that's kind of felt like that, but it was tough. But you know, penalties, and sometimes it just goes that way, doesn't it, Joleon?
Yeah, probably the one team you wouldn't want to face, West Ham, going well this season. look very assured in how they're playing and the players, and they're rotating as well, which is unlike David Moyes. But yeah, tough game.
It was one of them, I think, for the fans, Stephen, as well. I mean, I went to the game with my dad, and, obviously we want to win every game, but it didn't feel like one of those hard losses on penalties where you go, oh.
We just won it so often. They're genuinely so often that you feel a bit trite to complain about it, wouldn't it? Because it's been so good for us in this competition. I was a bit good, I'm not going to lie, because I've grown such an attachment to it. Going to Wembley, there's something about winning a trophy around the end of February. It must be a boost for the players, picking silverware up towards that business end of the season. Going there and winning, a trophy at that time of the year, it's a good time of the year to win something. I'm kind of going to miss it this season, but I want to be a little bit gracious towards West Ham. They're a really good side, and maybe someone across town could do a manager that good at organising at the moment. Either way, but they were organised, a very likeable team, and fair play to them, man. I hope they go really far in the competition, because it'd be good to see West Ham there. Disappointed. I'm going to miss the Carabao, but we've had it good, haven't we? So
we have, and we'll be back next year. I guess as well, actually, Joe, for the first time now, and I think it'll be 5 years, we are going to get kind of 4 weeks or 4 games off that we've never really had. And I guess actually, on the flip side, that might come into our favour, or not.
Maybe. But I always say players don't get tired when they win. You never feel tired. You don't feel injuries. When you're winning, you just want to keep that momentum going and that rhythm. I'm sure the lads felt it midweek after the defeat. And winning builds confidence. So regardless of extended games, if you're winning them, you'd get on with them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm sure fans enjoy extra games if they're winning.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter as long as the results goes your way.
Absolutely. Well, gents, let's take a look at our starting 11. This is the team chosen by Pep Guardiola to take on Crystal Palace, which is kicking off in just under an hour's time at the Etihad Stadium. Starting in goal is our Brazilian number 1, Ederson. It is a back 4 consisting of Kyle Walker, Ruben Dias, Aymeric Laporte and João Cancelo on left back. That middle 3 that we've been so familiar to see this year, Rodri holding, I think with Bernardo Silva and Kevin De Bruyne in front of him, buzzing around. And a forward 3 of Jack Grealish, we think will be on the left, Phil Foden down the middle as we've seen, and Gabriel Jesus back on the right wing. On our bench we have Stefan, John Stones, Nathan Ake, Oli Zinchenko, Cole Palmer, Ilkay Gundogan, Fernandinho, Riyad Mahrez and Raheem Sterling. Joleon, I think at this moment in time, that seems to be our strongest 11, with those players kind of being the 11 players in the most form.
Yeah, I think you could throw Riyad into that. 2 goals against Brighton.
Yeah.
Was it 2 goals? Or 1 goal? Did he come on and 2 goals before?
I think it was 2.
It was 2, yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah, but no, again, I'm never disheartened by any team that he picks, to be fair. I don't think we can complain about any personnel in the starting lineup. And like you said, a lot of these players are in form, no more so than Phil.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Phil Foden, Stephen, I mean, we kind of touch upon him on most shows now, but there was kind of this conversation now that's looming that arguably he's becoming one of the most important names and first names on that starting 11 for the big games and any important games, I guess.
I just love the man. He's absolutely wonderful. He is. And
we call him a man now.
Yeah,
he's a man. Yeah, he's a man.
He's a man. He's grown up, man. He's grown up. I love him. What a guy. He's just living our dream, isn't he? But basically, the best thing about Phil Foden is how he becomes more or less the most important player. There's arguments, of course, De Bruyne and so on, but in any position he plays, he's like a footballing sponge. He just seems to draw from every single player around him. The fact that he already looks this good in a false nine, one of the most important positions in a Guardiola team already, despite only playing a few times there. As Guardiola said, some people, play in positions, some people just play football, and that's Phil Foden. That's him in a nutshell. He's just a fantastic footballer, and honestly, you could probably put him at left back and he'd learn that really well. That's Phil Foden, and I don't even think we've scratched the surface of what he's capable of yet. I think we're going to see him get better and better. And I've got to say as well, by the way, I know you missed the penalty the other day, but the balls it takes to step up to take that first penalty as well. I mean, that's obviously it's a sign of maturity and how much he obviously cares about this team and wants to lead it. And I think we're going to see more stuff like that from Foden. Yeah. Not the misses, hopefully, but the actual the taking responsibility. I saw him having a deal with Diaz when he came off at half time the other day, because they're obviously intensely talking about something. That's Ruben Diaz, So I love it. I think he's growing in this team and he's becoming so important, and you can't ignore him in the best possible way.
Yeah, absolutely. I've just heard as well, actually, I think they did a player appearance day after that game, and bless Phil, I think he was quite tired, the producers were reporting, so he did give it his all, as he always does. Jack Grealish, Jolene, and a player you know well, and for me, I think has really kind of settled into the City 11. I mean, he's started kind of most games, but we're still yet, I think, to see that Grealish we saw at Villa.
Yeah.
But what have you made of his start to Manchester City career so far?
Yeah, good start, positive. I think us as fans and Jack as a player are going to have to find a way of getting used to Jack having the impact he had at Villa with less involvement.
Yeah.
Remember, he's in a team now that arguably has 5 or 6 players as effective as him in possession, where Aston Villa didn't do that. So everything went through Jack, and you see more of him, where I think he's learning to be a little bit more patient when the team have the ball, and finding ways to be more impactful. But again, as fans, we need to recognise that as well. It's a different system for him, and I heard an interview of him, like literally after his first couple of games, of when the manager told him to stay higher and he wanted to go and drop a little bit deeper to get the ball, where no, he just has to be patient now. Just have to be patient, because you can rely on the players to find you, and I think he's doing that more and more. And the more you get in the ball, the more he'll impact the game.
I guess as well, you can't underestimate, actually having really only been at one club his whole career, and then also being in a team where it kind of was made to be around him. It's a very, very different proposition now, playing for Manchester City, that I think some people seem to forget.
Yeah, everyone, and it's funny, because even when he plays against teams and you listen to opposition fans when he gets the ball, he's getting booed a little bit more now.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that.
What's happened? What's happened? Is he changed?
He was the most popular guy in the summer,
literally,
in England.
Literally. So I think again that takes getting used to. It's different when, again, no disrespect to Aston Villa, they weren't a threat to anyone really, were they? They were avoiding relegation, but now Man City's a threat to everyone.
Yeah.
Oh, we don't want them to do well. We don't want their players to do well.
Yeah.
So, and he's not homegrown. I think there's probably only Phil that other fans, opposition fans, would enjoy watching, but Jack isn't on that list at the moment.
He'll get there.
Yeah.
I did want to talk as well about the other forward play, because obviously we've seen him take on this new role on the right-hand side, and actually he's been incredibly effective from that position since the start of the season. I mean, so influential, I think, in so many goals, either with an assist or coming on and then playing the pass that ends up being an assist for a goal. Gabriel Jesus.
He's honest, isn't he? And he's a manager's dream, I can only presume. I'm not a manager, but I can presume you want someone like him. You're assistant coach, man. You know what it's like. But like someone like Jesus who's got that ability, and then you have that flair and that work rate as well. And I really... There's a modesty to his game where he's willing to play in the right or out position, that it lends himself to just being useful in the squad. And right now his form, what I love about his form as well, we're forgetting some of the goals he scored, they're from central positions as well. So he's still actually been effective in the middle. And maybe he wasn't at his very best in terms of in front of goal last season, but he's still a fantastic player. But maybe being out there on the right as well, it helps the team, because he's such a hard worker, and he's better. He's a really good winger anyway, because he played there for Palmeiras and Brazil at one point. But maybe as well, you'll find a bit of confidence in front of goal, because he's not, it's not all on him. He gets, he's playing as a winger, so the pressure's not on him as a forward as well. And I think he's actually reveling in this freedom, on this role, and this new responsibility, and it just suits him, especially when City are pressing more than they did last season. Because last season, maybe given the fact the world was changed post-pandemic and so on, that the players are a little bit more tired because of a condensed season. This year we're pressing again an awful lot more, and people like Foden and Jesus have got their energy. Well, it suits Jesus' game massively. So I feel like we're playing a system that really, it really helps play to his strengths as well. So long may he continue, because he looks like a man reborn this year.
He really, really does. Looking to the other side of the pitch as well, Joleon, that Diaz and Laporte partnership is kind of like the Diaz and Stones partnership. I don't think it's that Stones has done anything wrong, just Diaz and Laporte have been so solid. How impressed have you been with them two together?
Yeah, very impressed. But like you said, it's not a surprise to me, because they're both world-class centre-backs. Again, Laporte was speculated leaving the start of the season to get more game time. We all expected Stones and Diaz to continue their partnership. But again, like John Stones last season, Laporte's took it with both hands. He's seen an opportunity, and that wasn't necessarily going to come there if John Stones was fully fit at the start of the season. He probably would have been them two, and both them being great players, they probably would have continued that form. So it would have been hard for someone to break the partnership up. But Emmeric's come in and seamlessly looked like he's been a part of that defence for years, and we're looking at him now from Emerick from 2 seasons ago.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we look at the proposition of Crystal Palace, Stephen, what do you think is going to be key today for that team to do to get the 3 points?
we're going to have to make sure the press is really coordinated because we were chatting before the game and Joleon pointed out, that statistically Palace had the highest ever possession. It was 75% against Newcastle. And I'm not nicking that stat from Joleon. You brought up. Like, it's one of those things where they are a different side now. They're a passing side. Roy Hodgson's sides were incredibly hard working, but they were more stoic as opposed to, flamboyant and so on. And I think Palace, they're going to try and pass it around us, and they're getting better at that every single week. And this is a challenge for them today. There's probably not much expectation on Palace as well, so they'll be relatively fearless. And obviously Vieira will feel like he has something to prove, not in a bad way, just because it's his old club. So I think the press is going to have to be absolutely spot on because they will try and pass it around us. And if we don't get it right, they'll manage it because they're good players. So
I don't see the press being as important because I think they may go direct. I think Benteke is that much of a threat. And if you try and come here and try and play out, you can get punished. Yeah. Like, if you do that, 9 times out of 10, you're going to get hurt and you're going to concede like 3 or 4 goals. But what I did notice last week when I seen Palace was their crossing. If they get the ball in the box, like from wide areas, Benteke is a massive threat.
Be a big job for Ruben Dias and Aimlet Port this week to keep him quiet. And speaking of pressing, I think there's a team across town that could do with a few lessons in pressing, couldn't they? Couldn't they? Quick word as well on Ederson, but before we hear from the man himself, Zach Stefan in the middle of the week again. I just seem to be more and more impressed with him and kind of think, I don't know how long we could keep him as a number 2 because he has everything about him to, be a number 1. And he's like Ederson as well.
Yeah.
His comfortability on the ball, his passing range, and also his shot stopping is top notch.
Yeah, again, none of the subs or the squad members should surprise us in what they're capable of because they're part of Man City's team. You know what I mean? Man City's squad. So again, I'm not surprised. I think US have always produced an athletic goalkeeper.
Yes.
Always, regardless of technically with their feet and stuff. I think Zach Stefan is a little bit different to the previous goalies. But playing with Tim Howard, that was the thing I noticed the most was how literally fast he was on his feet, like running wise, and his spring was just like ridiculous because obviously growing up they play a lot of
American
basketball. And so sports that suit goalkeepers' attributes. But again, would he want to stay and be a part of the squad if he's not getting enough game time? Who knows? But at the moment we enjoy, and I'm sure he's giving up a great competition for Ederson.
Absolutely, and as well, I think he's a great and big personality, very well loved in the dressing room as well, Zach Stefan, and also a great person, does a lot of charity work as well behind the scenes. Right, from Zach Stefan to Ederson, we can now hear from our Brazilian number 1, speaking ahead of our game against Crystal Palace.
Ederson, your coach today, it's his 200th Premier League game in charge. Is there a feeling in the squad that you're definitely going to do something for him today, something special?
Sim, com certeza. É uma marca difícil de alcançar, né? E alcancei em tão pouco tempo. Espero que possa fazer um grande jogo e que o time possa premiar esses 200 jogos com uma vitória.
Yeah, obviously it's a great milestone, difficult to achieve for any manager or player, so I hope the team does a good performance, we can play a good game and give him the 3 points.
The club haven't conceded a goal here this season in the Premier League. I wonder from your point of view, Ederson, when you aren't particularly busy during the game, how do you maintain your concentration? How do you stay focused during the 90 minutes?
Bom, nós vemos que na última temporada e nessa temporada o time está bem consistente na parte defensiva. É tudo mérito de um trabalho da parte defensiva ali que trabalha muito forte para isso. A parte da concentração é muito importante para a nossa equipe, porque muitas das vezes acaba não chegando muita bola e aqui chega você tem que estar concentrado para aquilo. Então eu espero que hoje nosso time possa estar bem concentrado quanto à fase ofensiva e principalmente defensiva, que eu creio que é um dos momentos mais importantes da partida.
Yeah, both last season and this season the team has been great defensively, so it's all the credit to all the players, all the defensive work we do as a team, and obviously we need to be very focused, especially me, because we don't conceive many chances, but when we do, I have to be extremely focused to try to save them, of course. So I hope today the team again does a great defensive work, we are really focused and we can win the game.
And as for Crystal Palace, this season they have been more dangerous than they were last season offensively. They're scoring a few more goals. What kind of threats do you anticipate today from them?
Bom, você olha para o Crystal Palace da temporada passada, é um pouco diferente dessa temporada, é com um treinador novo, estão jogando mais, tem mais posse de bola, tem mais toque de bola, criam mais oportunidades, sabemos que é um time que tem jogadores com muitas qualidades e é um time que está sendo bem treinado, veja pela última partida que fizeram contra o Arsenal fora, fizeram uma grande partida. Então, nosso time tem que estar muito concentrado. Eu acho que estamos preparados para todas as situações de jogo, porque preparamos bem. E eu acho que o time todo está focado para ir em busca da vitória.
Yeah, obviously Crystal Palace has changed a lot compared to last season. There's a new manager, a new style of play. I think they have more ball possession, they attack more, they create more chances. So obviously they will be very dangerous. We'll have to be very focused. I think they were great against Arsenal, for instance. For example, they play a great game. So for us, it's a matter of being focused all the time, trying to do our job, our good job, and try to win the 3 points.
Brilliant. Thank you, guys. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Have a good game.
That's another man that I love, Ederson there, and of course as well winner of a few Golden Gloves over the last few seasons, speaking ahead of our game against Crystal Palace. And I just wanted to touch on a point there, Joleon, because I know it's kind of been a feature in City's game, not now, but in previous years, about that lapse in concentration, whether that be the keeper or whether that be the middle of midfield, that has kind of opened us up to an attack. That seems to have been kind of weaned out of our game now. And do you think that just comes from the players themselves? And how difficult is it to maintain that concentration, particularly for someone like Ederson in his position?
It'd be harder for him because, again, what he's been asked to do and how frequent he's asked to do that. But I think it comes from the manager. I think we can see how animated Pep is throughout most games. And if you're aware that he's watching and everyone's watching and trying to maintain the standards that he's set, then it's easier. Again, defenders are probably not defending in terms of what the old school defending terms is as much as that season. But you are brought here for that. You're not brought here to do it every single time more than everyone. It's realising, you might only need to do this 3 or 4 times, but you need to execute it 3 or 4 times, and that's the beauty of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, listen, if you're watching and thinking, I'd love to put a question to our guest, you absolutely can do that. You can either send us a tweet or you can send us a WhatsApp. Coming up on the screen now, should be popping up our WhatsApp number. And if you send us a little message there, maybe send us some questions to our guest, I'll be able to put them to them in a little bit. And we're also because, Halloween is just around the corner, we're going to be asking you for your Halloween spectacular names, okay? We've got a couple here.
Oh, wow.
We love a pun. Kyle White-Walker.
Oh,
Having that one?
yeah.
Jack Grealish.
Ooh. Yeah.
And we've got Riyad Mahrez, rest in peace.
Oh, wow.
I'm going. See you later, everybody. Have a good show. So if you can do better than that, which I'm sure you can, also send those in as well. And we'll be reading them out at half-time and full-time because, as you know, Matchday Live is with you for every moment of the game throughout the afternoon. Also, I think it's important just to take a little moment to remember that Manchester City is going to proudly join millions across the country to remember the people that made the most important sacrifice for us all over the next 2 weeks. And before the game at the Etihad, we are, of course, going to be having a presentation in the Memorial Garden. And before the game, on the pitch behind us, we've got a poppy there in the centre circle, and Pep Guardiola and Patrick Vieira will be laying wreaths in remembrance of all those that lost our lives for us on this day. And of course, I think as well, we'll be hearing a moment's silence as well, so I'm sure you'll join us at home. And of course, we have all the admiration and all the respect. Gents, before we move on to Crystal Palace and Patrick Vieira, let's just kind of go back to that Brighton game. And Joleon, you said it there at the start of the show, arguably one of the best first halves we've played.
Yeah, definitely. Again, that's why I'm not confident, but I'm thinking the rooms of Palace won't try to do that.
Yeah.
Because we've seen Brighton try to play, misplace 2 or 3 passes, and you're 2-0 down. And it's that simple.
Yeah.
So would you risk that? And I know people look at it and say, they don't do that every week, but that is what Man City do to you. This is what that press does to you. It forces the errors.
Yeah.
Players don't want the ball as much as they would if they knowing, I'm getting pressed from every angle. The options aren't as potent. So I'm sure they've watched that and analysed, let's not make the mistakes. But for the first half for Man City, I thought he was exceptional.
And just before we take a look at the goals, the second half, Stephen, and a question to you both as well. Obviously, Brighton kind of came back into it, and I think courageous again from a Graham Potter side. What do you think it was? Because it did feel that we kind of... want to say we dropped off a little bit, but we didn't feel like we were at in the first half. Do you think it's because the game was done, or maybe it was just levels dropped?
I presume it's just human nature a little bit to feel like the job is done a little bit. And then even if you just drop off, I don't know, say 10%, which is might even be imperceptible sometimes, but another team like Brighton really ups their game, you're going to notice that. And Brighton are a really good side. They were flying high in the Premier League, and Graham Potter's worked his magic, no pun intended. But either way, like they're a fantastic side, and sometimes you just got to give them credit as well. Like I genuinely thought they were excellent. Like everything that they tried in the first half came off in the second. And we probably took our foot off the gas a little bit, but that's kind of understandable. You're 3-0 up. There was no alarm bells ringing or anything like that. And a game, football, we have this tendency sometimes to maybe analyse 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes here and there. But a game of football is 90 minutes for a reason. It's the end product is the only thing that matters. And if you can kill a game off, in the first 45 and then kind of rest and see out the second half, that's totally fine. It doesn't ultimately matter because there's still another gear or two to go up, and it's great for us as fans to watch us win 6-7-0, but it's not always that easy. I presume Joleon knows. Sometimes you've wanted the game. I presume sometimes once it feels like it's won. You ever felt
subconsciously, you would reduce the levels again, conserve energy in different ways. Like the second half performance from both teams didn't surprise me. They could only play better and not make the mistakes.
Yeah.
And Man City didn't have to press and work as hard. I think it was the same as Liverpool. I think we played well in the first half, and then they pick up in the second half. Teams do that. I think barring Chelsea, which I thought for 90 minutes we dominated. I haven't seen that for a while. But teams will do that. Like, no team is going to be the same.
You see it all the time, don't you? Where like a team's 3-4 up at half time, but then you think, it's going to be 8, but it ends up 4.
Yeah.
They barely score in the second half or whatever. It's just because, I don't know, the manager will come in for the opposition team and they'll fix it. They'll say, do this, do that, change that, and that's part of the game.
But we even seen it. 10 minutes you brought on Riyad and
Riyad.
That was it. It was literally, we've got another gear if needed. So again, I think it was a combination of it being done in the first half and also them not making the mistakes they were making in the first half.
And this is prime example of what you spoke about. It was that misplaced box pass on the edge of our box, and then the ball from Grealish, but the run from Foden as well.
Everything he just causes so many problems that they're so aware of what is needed and the willingness to run off the ball. Like, it can't be underappreciated how important that is, because that causes the problems. Is the runs out of possession that you probably don't see when they don't get the pass.
Yes,
but it happens all the time.
My favourite goal of the season, that so far.
Really?
Yeah. For me personally, I think it's because it reminded me of the 17-18 season with Sterling and Sane on the break and so on. I think it was just the pace of it, and it was just the intensity of it. We've become an incredible side, but we've not been a counter-attacking side much over the last couple of years because the game's our players have been quite as fast, and there was something about the explosiveness of that to me. It was just thrilling. I loved it.
It was, but I guess it's a great point. But then actually it goes to show that when needed, we've still got in the locker, and I think it's because teams actually now don't allow us to counter-attack, it's not there to do. Really,
I don't think there's been a need to do it. I think it's been a case of we're dominating possession, so most of our goals are from the final third in terms of us regaining possession and scoring that way. But I think there's not a way we can't score, which is a good sign. And as you say, when you're bringing on players of this, I think he plays in any other team in the Premier League. Him and Raheem literally playing any other team. So
it's a beautiful pass that as well from Foden. I thought the awareness to know he was there was just...
because I think everyone was getting frustrated with him just before that. He was trying to get the hat-trick already.
I was
he was trying to get it. But why not? He's allowed to do that.
That's what I was saying. I was watching it going, you keep shooting away, Phil, lad. Get that hat-trick.
He did become a man, as you were saying.
Final word, we haven't got the highlight, but of course there was the penalty, and I know that we know what Ruben Dias is like when concedes a goal. He doesn't like to concede any goal, and I'm sure Ederson as well. Do you think, was that a lapse in concentration, or do you think, because it seemed to me Laporte had it covered?
Yeah, I don't think he needed to come out, but again, I don't know if you're going to show it or you remember it. He's come out and he's pulled his arms away, and then he's hitting with his elbow. If he extends his arms, he gets the ball.
Okay.
So I think he's thought, I'm not getting, or I don't need to get there. I withdraw my arms, but the obviously momentum of the slide has took him through the player. But I think if he comes out and actually commits fully, I'm not a goalkeeper, but it looked like he could have reached the ball if he extended his arms.
Now, returning to the Etihad Stadium is a man that I know is very well loved, very well respected, and of course all the fans love him because he really, I think, brought a mentality to the team when he arrived. Patrick Vieira, of course, former manager of New York City and now manager of Crystal Palace. Joleon, a man that you know very well. Are you surprised to see him in a managerial role, first of all, having played with him?
No. I was made aware of it early on when he was the 23s manager that he wanted to do it. It was something he was passionate about. And but like you said, when he joined the club, there was a different feel and aura. Oh, yeah, it was different. Patrick was like our hero.
You feel starstruck a little bit, you know?
Oh, 100%. Amazing. Like, it's Patrick. He was our hero. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We all grew up watching Patrick Vieira. And we had leaders in the team, like a lot of leaders. But Patrick was different level. Like, if he spoke, you were quiet.
Yeah.
I remember before the semi-finals in the FA Cup.
Yeah.
He told all the staff to
Was
chill
that
out.
the Stoke game?
Yeah, but no, the Man United game, I think.
Yeah,
it was.
yeah,
I think
yeah.
it might have been the Man
No, it was
United.
the derby. It was
Yeah,
the
the
derby
derby. I think
semi-final,
he
yeah.
told all the fans, or it might have been the final. But one of the games, all the staff had to go out, and Patrick addressed us all as a team, and he was on the bench. And he took a 5-minute speech to us all and just made us aware of what this meant. It was the final, definitely was the final, of what this is going to mean to propel us on and how important it was to give not even a performance, but to win and stuff like that. And obviously that was his 5th FA Cup.
Yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I mean?
wow.
But yeah, he had a different aura, and like lots spoken about Vinny as a leader, but Vinny had we had Kolo Touré, who's coming from Invincibles.
Yeah.
Gareth Barry was Aston Villa captain for 10 years, and then we had Patrick. You know what I mean? And Patrick was like Godfather.
Yeah.
You see it in your face, man. You can tell you loved him.
I still do. I still speak to him and that. But what a guy! And he's so like David Silva. The people that have achieved so much but are so humble.
Yeah.
And have time for everybody. It's remarkable what a person is. Not mind just a player.
And I guess as well, you know, when they talk about kind of having that winning mentality, which now riddles, it's through the whole club now and it's ingrained in our identity, but it never was because we hadn't won anything for over 40 years. And I guess he was like one of them players when they talk about he brought you that kind of mentality that the club needed.
Of course, that was it. It was standards that was set in training, like you train to your maximum. And his maximum was not the level as it was prior when like Arsenal and stuff, but you could still see he was doing the right things, and we were like, if you're doing the right things, there's no excuse for us not to do them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, no, Patrick is icon in football, but yeah, he was huge for us group of players when he came.
And I guess as well for us fans, Stephen, I mean, I remember when signing Patrick Vieira, even for us, was like, we're signing Patrick Vieira.
Patrick Vieira.
Yeah, unbelievable.
That was that stage, wasn't it? Still when we're like, is this how really happening to us? You know, are we actually doing this? Because I remember, with all due respect, I remember the relegations and the tears, and all of a sudden Patrick Vieira was just rocking up, and you're like, this is our normality now. You know, and an absolute legend. And my own little anecdote, I remember watching the 18s at the academy, and Patrick Vieira walked over, and I was just a fan. Sat next to me to watch the he was the EDS manager, sat down with his daughter there to watch the under-18s because he obviously was watching the next generation, and it was just the way he sat watching. He was so polite and so friendly to everyone, with his daughter there as well, just being absolutely adorable. And I remember thinking, what a man, what an absolutely adorable, lovely man, and obviously so attentive and so obsessed with football as well. And made time for me and my dad. Oh, you're right, and Dad's so friendly, so lovely, and just a genuine great at the game.
This team, Patrick Vieira, Yaya Toure. I don't want to hear anything else.
We're done. Mic drop. Game over.
It's over.
It is. We're going to move on to him becoming a coach. But before that, I've got 2 questions here that I think have been put into my script by staff behind the scenes who have heard maybe rumours or whispers around the club. The first one being, I'm told to ask you about Patrick Vieira's smell.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard a lot about this smell.
It's not. Is this a good smell or a bad smell?
No, it's a good smell.
Okay.
It's an expensive smell. Expensive, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Because obviously he come and everyone was like, what is that? So we looked and then we sit.
Is it just his sweat?
Yeah, literally sweats out like expense. But
and winner and glory.
Yes. Just icon. He just sweats at icon. But yeah, when we looked at it and then someone was looking online, I didn't need to smell that good.
Really, the aftershave,
Yeah.
Wow.
It was that expensive. I was like, no, I'll stick with the dupe.
Versace
Blue.
Cool water.
Not cool water. I could add water to it. Yeah.
And the other one that I've got here is 7 a.m. matches at the CFA.
Yeah.
What is that?
Pat was
wrong. That's what it is. 7 a.m.
Yeah, it's early. So when Pat was manager of the 23s, he set up the staff games and. Used to be Thursday mornings, 7 a.m. Used to get in, and then obviously when I joined part of the loans and that, they were still going. To be fair, legacy to Pat. To be fair, and then but I heard he wasn't moving too well. He wasn't moving too well in training when he was playing, so he wasn't moving too well in the staff games. But yeah, he set up the staff games every Thursday, and I think they only stopped a few years ago, actually.
Really, yeah. I think as well, I just remember people talking about that. Actually, sometimes they get that competitive when they should be starting work.
I think they did stop
because
of that. There was a couple
I love that though. Well, you know as well, the sporting mentality is the sporting mentality.
No one's playing to lose.
Exactly.
No one's playing to lose.
Unless you're Manchester United. Pardon, sorry. I can never help myself. We can now hear from the man himself. Let's hear what Patrick Vieira says about the game against Manchester City and, of course, returning to the Etihad Stadium.
It's quite an achievement to last so long in this game, isn't it?
Yes, it's an unbelievable achievement. When you look at his career at Bayern or even at Barcelona, he's an example, I think, for all these ex-players or people who want to go into coaching.
And you want to spoil his day?
We just want to have a good performance.
Thanks for your time, Patrick. Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
That is Patrick Vieira there speaking ahead of the game against Manchester City for them, Crystal Palace for us. Just a quick word on his coach, Joan, because he said it doesn't surprise. I think you hear about them players that everyone can earmark for coaching. But I read an interview saying I think he never initially had plans to go into coaching. And it was the club that kind of just gently coaxed him into going, it could be something for him, and then he found a love for it with the under-23s, the EBS.
Yes, he's really close with Brian Marwood, another great guy. And Patrick's really close with him. They've known each other for years, and the club was great, to be fair. They give him opportunities to explore and experiment on anything he wanted to do. And then he worked with the 23s with Simon Davis, again, who deserves a lot of credit for helping Patrick and also being part of the creation that we see the academy starred in. A lot of people assume it's Pep.
Yeah.
But it was kind of created before Pep arrived, you know what I mean? So there's a lot of people that deserve credit for that as well. So, yeah, Pat got into it and that was it. He was obsessed. People like that don't do stuff by half measures, you know what I mean? They're all in, and he was all in and he loved it, and he's writing his own history.
Absolutely. Question maybe for you both, and listen, you never kind of want to think, but I think if we look to the future, I'd love to say that Pep Guardiola is going to be here forever. He's not. Could you see maybe one of them names further down the line as well, given, of course, the attachment to the club, that Patrick Vieira maybe could be one to fill those shoes?
It's obviously the biggest shoes to fill, literally one of the greatest managers of all time, but he's an exceptionally intelligent bloke. Obviously he's got the respect within the game, and I can presume that matters in the dressing room. As Joleon was saying, you have to be able to have the respect to your players and obviously we see that his football, it's good. It's doing well so far, and obviously, let's see how he gets on at Palace. But I don't think anyone would have any problem if everyone would be delighted if Vieira was successful and came back here, because that's just a massive win for everyone, isn't it? Like, he's an incredible man, hugely respected. He plays good football, intensely passionate about what he does. Loved, and damn right he's on Man City's watch list. He should be, and I'm sure he will be as well.
Yeah, Caldoon has actually said as well that Vieira was part of the Manchester City family and we welcome back anytime, and we are welcoming him back this afternoon, unfortunately, on the opposition bench. But we can tell you what team he has chosen to face Manchester City. This is how Crystal Palace are lining up today. Gator starts in net, and then you've got Ward, Gay, Anderson, Mitchell, Chiarte, MacArthur, Gallagher, Ayew, Edouard and Zaha. And on the bench you've got Butland, Tompkins, Kelly, Klein, Milovic, Schlupp, Elise, Matea and Benteke on the bench. So one that we touched on there, and obviously coming on is going to be a threat. But let's look at that starting 11, Joleon. Who do you earmark there as the threats for us today and to keep an eye on?
Yeah, Conor Gallagher, he's very, very intelligent, and affects the game. He's not as glamorous as a Phil or Cole Palmer, but he can affect the game equally as much. And I've worked with him in 21s, a bit like Mark Gui as well. Exceptional talents, but love the game. Products of the Chelsea Academy again. But I'm just pleased Benteke isn't starting. As I said, he missed a lot of opportunities last week, but he's a threat. And on another day he gets 2 or 3 goals. So the fact that he's not in the team means hopefully they have to play out from the back, and we can capitalise on mistakes.
Plays right into Manchester City's hands. And this season, as you said, I mean, they've not quite got all the wins that they've wanted, but that's not to say the performances haven't maybe warranted, I think, maybe a few extra points that they probably would say you deserve.
Well, I mean, at this, I would guess and hope at this stage of someone's, tenure as a manager, you're looking for signs that they're going somewhere and signs that they're trying to build something. And you got to look at, draws away at Leicester. I can't remember, it was away at Arsenal, I think, and then at Leicester as well.
Home to Brighton.
And home to Brighton. I mean, looking at those teams, they're good results, and Palace might have lost some of them in previous years. Might have not, of course, but either way, you've got to look at the signs that things are going right. And as we mentioned earlier about the possession stats against Newcastle, that they're building something, and they've got maybe one of their best players last season, Eze, still, he's out at the moment, so that's a blow. That's a huge blow for any team, because he's such a quality footballer, and it'll take time to transition from what they were under Hodgson to what they want to become under Vieira, because they're very different styles, and that's obviously totally fine. But the signs are there, they haven't quite got the results yet, but that will come with time, and I'm sure Vieira, the players will buy into it, I'm sure, because he's got that much respect, within the dressing room and so on. And if I was a Palace fan, and do you know what, I follow a few Palace fans on Twitter, they seem really happy at the moment, they're optimistic, because they're just enjoying the football.
Yeah.
And that matters to fans, it does. It's not always just about survival, and which I'm sure they'll do anyway, but you do want to enjoy the football.
Of course.
And that's what Palace are doing at the moment.
And you can't underestimate, Joleon, as well. It was a big job that Vieira had coming into that Palace team compared to last season. There was a big rebuild as well, as you were saying before the show.
Yeah, 100%. Again, I think it would have been a tough job if they kept a similar squad to last season, but the fact that it was, 7 or 8 new players, and some of them with no Premier League experience, which is always difficult. But again, players will respect Patrick. That helps. Like Stephen was touching on then. Like the last 2 games, they haven't played with Zaha in the team, which is a massive
Huge.
plus. The fact that they're getting points and able to create lots of chances without him in the team shows the difference in transition that the style of players had.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are not far away, of course, from taking on that Crystal Palace team. I did want to ask before we go to Cryptic City, touched on it there. Of course, you got your new role as well, Jolene, with the England under-21s. First of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
And how is that going?
Yeah, good. Really enjoyed it. Left the loans department at the end of the season. Wasn't expecting to go into the 21s and got asked to come in there and help work and develop some of their players and fully enjoy it.
It's a good time to be the 21s at the moment.
Yeah,
some of these young talents to be here.
Everyone said it, but I don't think there is a bad time.
Right.
I was lucky enough to do some work with them a couple of seasons ago when it was Phil. He wasn't even 21, obviously, but it was like Tammy Abraham, Solanke, Tomore. There was exceptional talent then. Yeah. So I think as a nation, we're just fortunate to have consistently produced top talent.
Yeah, we've had a question coming at you on WhatsApp, probably for you, Joleon, going, what City youngsters do you earmark that potentially could end up going on to be full England internationals? Are there any?
It's hard to say at the moment. You would look at Cole because he's in the system.
Yeah.
I know he's highly regarded as a top talent. I like Luke Nabete. I've spoke to you about him before, and I think, random as this is going to sound,
young Lescott, isn't he?
Yeah, he probably has more chance of playing for England than he probably does for Man City at this moment because of the age of the centre-backs we've got. You know what I mean? I think if he gets into a first team, you're going to see the full potential that he can have, but there's no, in the greatest respect to him and the club, there's no need for him to play for Man City at this moment in time, so that is a wonder one, but top talent.
Lovely. Okay. If you do want to get any more questions in, of course, just use that WhatsApp number, or you can tweet us. And you can also tweet us or WhatsApp your guesses for today's Cryptic City, which is where we have some clues. And we ask you to try and work out who is the player, past or present. Use that hashtag as well if you're on Twitter. Here we go, guys.
No idea.
Okay. So we've got a kangaroo. That's there we go. Man who knows his films.
Yeah. Les
Les.
Jason Donovan.
Is that Jason Donovan?
Is that Jason? I didn't recognise him.
Is it? I don't know.
Jason Donovan from Neighbours, isn't it?
Yeah, you're right. I didn't know.
Yeah.
Right, okay. Donovan.
I didn't have social media when I grew up, you know. I used to watch Neighbours at home and away was a real thing.
I mean, any
still the same cast, probably, isn't it? I guess.
Yeah, probably.
There's toefish there still.
Probably. They never go
Joleon, Lescott. I've just said it. I've just spoiled it for you, Darryl. Joey, baby kangaroo. I've just bought it for you now.
Have you got a second one, Darryl, in the studio?
Done.
Yeah.
Get your guesses in anyway.
Yeah.
Get your own guesses in.
Maybe
They're going to
Right.
give out prizes for everyone to get the right guess.
I've got to find. I've got 10 minutes of the show here now. I've got to fill. Can't fill that with any more guests. There you go. Darryl, last week, made it too hard. I mean, we flagged you up on that one. No, that's too easy. We got us guessing it
That's
well.
2 out of 2 for me now.
Well played. That was very quick.
Yeah.
Baby Joe. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. That's clever. That's clever.
Not that clever. Why you?
I would love to see Darryl's reaction right now. Producer Darryl.
fuming at
He's
that.
fuming.
He's
isn't he?
kicking.
He's trashed the studio.
He's kicking off in the area.
We could just banter Darryl for 10 minutes. That's what we could do with the extra 10 minutes we got.
Let's talk about City in the community. Now, we are celebrating 35 years of City in the community, which is an incredible feat. Of course, this dates back to way back when the main road days, and it looks at the work that City are doing in the community, in the city, for the people across the board in a variety of ways, not just here in Manchester, in cities all around the world where we have our clubs. It's a project that I know the club are incredibly proud of, and it's a project that I know supports and helps an incredibly amount of young people and families. And to celebrate 35 years, we have a massive competition that you guys can get involved with. We're asking you to enter a raffle, which will make a donation to City in the community. But some of the prizes that you can win, well, put it this way, I've entered the raffle because I thought I could have a bit of that. Check this out.
CITC is turning 35.
City in the community have teamed up with Play Fund Win, the digital raffle platform, to raise much needed funds this season. As well as supporting a brilliant cause, you will also have the chance to win some fantastic prizes, including shirts signed by Phil Foden, Kevin De Bruyne, Ruben Dias and Jack Grealish, plus a virtual meet and greet with Jack Grealish, 4 tickets for Liam Gallagher, 4 tickets for Ed Sheeran, 4 tickets for The Killers, 4 tickets for Red Hot Chili Peppers, 4 tickets for the Foo Fighters, plus win 2 Etihad Airways flight tickets to Abu Dhabi and £1,000 spending money.
To enter, simply visit
mancity.com/prize draw to get your tickets, or text City to 85525.
Or scan one of the QR code around the Etihad Stadium.
100% of profits go to support the work which City in the community carry out in the City of Manchester. Play the City in the Community prize draw.
Fun projects for CITC across Manchester.
Win some incredible prizes.
Entries are open now, so what are you waiting for?
From all of us at Man City and CITC, have a great day!
If you're ever feeling down, just go and watch that trailer again and just watch Riyad Mahrez say, have a great day. I think if I start every day with him saying that to me, I'll wake up in a lot happier mood. If you've just tuned in, thank you for joining us. We are about, I think, 20 minutes away from our game against Crystal Palace here at the Etihad Stadium, 3 o'clock kickoff. We'll bring you team news recap in just a second. But what we want to talk about is the man who we all love, the man in which we trust, the man who is actually playing his 200th, managing his 200th Premier League game. Our man, my hero, Pep Guardiola. 200th league game in charge.
Where's it gone?
I don't know where that has gone. I mean, where do we even begin talking about Pep Guardiola?
I don't know. I think he's fulfilled the dreams that we all hope he would have done when he arrived. He's transformed the way the game is viewed at every level. Mm-hmm. I think obviously now there's a different level of respect for the way Man City win, which I think is going to make it harder when he does go for the next person, because even as a fan, winning isn't going to be enough. It's going to have to be in a certain style.
I'm terrified. I'm terrified of that future. It'd be great, but it's Pep's everything, isn't he? His style, trophies, everything.
But who knows? It could be someone that, again, transcends it in a different way. Might be not a similar way, but just different style and something that we're not used to seeing. Can still bring the enjoyment, because if you go through the managers that have started it off, obviously Mancini just winning, then obviously Pellegrini winning again, different tweak, and then Pep's coming again, his own unique style. So I'm sure if the next manager, we're not talking like he's gone already, but he's successful, that helps.
It really will. And 200th league game, he's won 146 of those games. No manager has won any more games in that time in those 200 games, which is just unbelievable. I mean,
it's not fair, is it?
It's not, and for
That's
us
not
fans,
right,
it's as Stephen, I know, and we're going to put it to you now, but I just know, I think, for the fans as well, one, I think the appreciation for what he's done, and it's the best football I've ever seen. I think, actually, Pellegrini's and Mancini's, but I think some of the games I've seen and the way we played football, I've never seen anything like it. And then you see our coach on the sideline, who seems to live, breathe, and feel every second just like us fans do. I never question going, Pep wouldn't have thought of that. Sometimes like Willie, he's always across it, and I think that just he means so much to us, doesn't he?
I absolutely love him, and I think I was sat recently watching. I think it might have been the Chelsea game or whatever, where you realise he already has the answer to every question that everyone's posed, and the best thing about Pep is he's kind of reinvented the team like 3 times already during his tenure. Like the team in the 17-18 season was so different to the previous one for the next year. Then the 18-19 one was a little bit more tough defensively and so on. But this one now, it feels different yet again. And then the players are a little bit different. And he keeps finding ways to reinvent the way that they're playing and motivate the players again. And I can only presume that's really hard to do. It's really hard to get those same players to do the same things again and get the same results constantly. But he has this aura about him that is just absolutely demands respect. Across the dressing room, and it's his intensity. Like, he's still as intense and as passionate about football as he was 5-6 years ago when he first joined, and it would be easy for him not to be. I mean, if he walked out tomorrow of the club, please don't do that, Pep, but if he did, he would have achieved everything that he needed to anyway, and no one could question him. But he's still there. He's still absolutely intensely passionate about this club, and he's becoming one of us as well, man. He's becoming a Manc, and I like that. I like that as well, and I think we're going through a spell now as a City fan that I couldn't have possibly dreamed of 20, 30 years ago when I was a kid watching Man City play, and I absolutely love it. I'll be eternally grateful. I mean, it started off obviously with Joleon's era, and that was wonderful as well. And then right now as well, man, I think we're only going up as well. I really think we are. I wouldn't be surprised if Guardiola did things this season with this team, with these players, that we couldn't have dreamed of as kids, man.
I agree. I think it seems to have taken out. That's what I was wanting to say at the start. So it seems to have gone to another level. That week when we had Chelsea, PSG, and then Liverpool, the way and even the PSG game was lost. Anyone watched it say we didn't deserve to lose. To turn up and impose our game, and at the level and the quality in which we do it is.
I think if you're honest, and I think if everyone's honest, Man City are everyone's biggest rivals.
Yeah.
Which is a huge thing to say.
Yeah.
Like 10 years ago, that wasn't the case. We were still the noisy neighbours, you know what I mean? But so to say now, every team in Europe, they're arguably their biggest rivals in every competition. So that is just a huge honour. And Pep and the owners have a massive part to play in that.
They do. And the other word on Pep, and we saw, the cameraman loved Jack Grealish's calves there, by the way. I don't know if anyone saw that close up, and literally the slowest pan up some calves I've ever seen.
Racing for a midday on a Saturday, isn't it?
Yeah, but bringing in Grealish, which we're excited to see, kind of obviously we hear about his coaching, and how he actually really does elevate players' games and their ability to a whole new level. Also, of course, young players as well that he's slowly bringing through. That can't be underestimated as well, can it? The actual coaching and how he brings new players, and the young players in particular, into his teams.
Yeah, 100%. It can't be. Again, it may be, and I think he's touched on it, it may be slightly easier with newer players because it's the first time they're hearing it. It's like the first time you're seeing it. It's more impressive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think it helps, and I think he spoke about needing and wanting to recruit players after success.
Yeah.
Because again, it's just a different feel, and everybody wants to be part of a successful team.
Of course.
So I think that helps, but it's still an art because it's a funny one. Pep would have done the coaching badges that everyone else has had to do.
Yeah.
But he's obviously teaching them and articulating it in a totally different way.
Yeah.
It makes you as a player think, oh, I never thought of that. Or as a coach, he's not able to emulate that, and then at the end of it, as a fan, you're like, yeah, I've never seen that before.
Yeah, it's magic.
Yeah, it is literally that.
It really, and I love it when Jack signed as well. He said his attention to and even in his first few training sessions, he said he's thinking about and telling me things about the game I'd never even considered, which is just amazing to hear. Also, I think what has come under Pep Guardiola's era, and again, this is a sentence I never thought I'd say, 5 Manchester City players in the Ballon d'Or shortlist, which is just phenomenal. So we're doing each game, each show, we're focusing on one of our nominees. This week, we are focusing on Ruben Dias. Now, before we get into our Ruben Dias chat, let's just remind ourselves of his arrival and what intentions he set out for him joining Manchester City.
I'm a player that loves to win. I'm a player for the team, for the fans. a player that loves this family spirit that I'm feeling it a lot since I've been here. And I'm an aggressive player. I love what I do. I love the game. I think the most important thing to say is that I love to win, and that's the thing you most need to know about me.
That was Ruben Dias. Sorry, I was just making sure I had my next few notes there lined up. Speaking about what he wanted to do when he arrived, and safe to say, Stephen, he has done that and then some, hasn't he?
I was laughing at Joleon's face that because it's impressive. He's just impressive, isn't he? Like, it's crazy to think as well. Like, he's not club captain, but he kind of already is already, and that's mad. And he's in Manchester City's dressing room with all those players, and he's already.
Well, he's been voted captain, hasn't he?
He's like number 3, isn't he?
I think he's number 2. He's number 2. I think. Well, he'll wear the armband today.
The other day, Fernandinho came on and he kept the armband anyway, and that's incredible with Fernandinho there. But what he's accomplished already, and we forget he's the youngest defender in the team as well, and he's that senior already. It's absolutely ridiculous, and he's just absolutely obsessed with winning. And I know that sounds really obvious and like a bit of a cliche, but when you've got that ability and you are that driven as well, then there's literally nothing you can't achieve, And he's proven that. The impact that he's had on this defence. It reminds me of Vinny a little bit, and obviously I'm not going to say he's going to reach those levels. I hope he does, but you cannot deny that pure. Do you watch that, Joleon, as a former defender? Do you feel like he just appreciates defending?
No, that's the thing. It's not. He said it there, and I agree with him. He said he wants to win, but it hurts him to lose.
Yeah,
so that's a big difference as well. It hurts him to concede, even when he's winning.
Yeah.
So that is something you can't teach. That's in somebody, and he's going to get compared to Vinny 100%, and rightly so, because he deserves that. And he's at a different stage to Vinny was when he first joined, and the club's at a different stage, so that's why it's unfair to compare them. They're coming from different clubs, and the club's at different stages.
Yeah,
but
that's a great point.
The thing is with Ruben is he doesn't have to do anything else. He doesn't have to go and play to another level. If he maintains this consistency, he will be there.
Yeah.
That's the thing, that's the most remarkable for me. Is I don't see him doing anything he shouldn't be doing, like as a defender.
Yeah.
I don't think, wow, that's something I've never seen that before. He just does it every week.
Yeah.
Every time. He makes that right tackle. He makes that right head. He wins that right header. He just makes the right decision.
Well. He's a bit like that, isn't he?
That's the thing.
It's just there.
Yeah, it's just there, and it's not a case of doing things we've never seen. It's just doing them more than everybody else.
Yeah.
That's the skill.
He's been colossal, of course, as well. Was key to, of course, winning the Premier League last year, as well. Though technically, and as a defender, Joleon, obviously, position that you know so well, and you were colossal for us as well. How good is he at the art of defending? I know it sounds like an obvious question.
Yeah, no, he's very good. Like I said, but it comes down to him doing it every time.
Yeah.
It's not a fluke. It's not luck that he's able to make a tackle at the last ditch or read a pass on the halfway line. Whatever it is, I think I remember one of his first games. He stepped in and he tried to pass it to the winger and he got cut out. And I'm thinking, okay, let's have a look now. And for like 5 games, he didn't try that pass again. Wow. And I thought, you learn that fast, then you are going to be a top player, and he's proven to be that.
Is that often the difference between the good players and the great ones? How quickly they learn, and how quickly they're aware of their own weaknesses at times, and what they can do to adapt that.
That's the difference between any top player is how many times you don't make that mistake.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's not a case of how many times you do something wonderful. I make less mistakes than everybody else. So you see me more because I'm not doing that. I shouldn't be doing that, and I'm not going to do it. And his consistency, and we've touched on it before. The fact that he's played so many games and available for so many games is an achievement in itself.
Yes.
Regardless of his level of performance, the fact that he's available is remarkable.
It really is. Ruben Dias, man. Another man that I love. And also as well, one of my favourite bits of ever watching him play was him pulling Zinchenko along the floor under the wall. That summed up everything about Ruben, didn't it? If you've just tuned in, Jolene, Lescott, Stephen McInerney are joining me in the Matchday Live studio. Thank you for joining us, you always do. I think we're just under 15 minutes till kickoff, which will be happening right behind us there. The players have been out and warmed up. So let me just bring you our team news recap in case you haven't seen our starting 11. Manchester City's starting 11 looks like this. In goal, Ederson. We have a back four of Walker, Diaz, Laporte and Cancelo. Rodri is in the holding role. Bernardo Silva back in the team after being rested against West Ham. Kevin De Bruyne starts as well alongside Bernardo Silva. And then a forward 3 of Jack Grealish, Phil Foden and Gabriel Jesus. And Crystal Palace's team It looks like Gator, Ward, Gay, Anderson, Mitchell, Quixote, MacArthur, Gallagher, Ayew, Edouard and Zaha. So we were talking this before, if you've just tuned in, Jolene, we were thinking obviously if Benteke was starting that Palace might be going with that more kind of direct approach, so to speak, but we actually think they might be trying to kind of carry on in the vein that Patrick Vieira has kind of had them playing in the start of the season. Might play into our hands today.
Hopefully it does, yeah. But it's just a sign of where they're at in terms of wanting to adapt a style and stick to it, but you can get punished if you stick to your guns too much against us. Again, if any unforced errors, you could be 2-3-0 down.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking to our bench as well, Stephen, I think it's nice to see Gundogan kind of getting back to that match fitness as well. And you were saying it before the show, but you're kind of hoping that we get another appearance of one little lad from Wythenshawe.
I don't want Patrick Vieira to suffer in any way, shape or form, but I'm sorry, mate. Unfortunately, there seems to be that kind of cut-off point where if you score a few goals with half an hour left, someone's coming off the bench. I just want to see Cole Palmer. I mean, sadly, that does mean paying for Patrick Vieira, but I kind of want to see Cole, and I think he's been brilliant recently. And I think that's so impressive for me midweek against West Ham is that if you just switched the heads around, you'd believe he was a first-team player. That could have been, Mahrez. It could have been Gundogan or someone like that. And the confidence that he played with. I remember reading the report in midweek about how he's absolutely fearless already in training. And obviously, you've worked with him already. He's got that kind of nonchalant self-belief that a lot of the great players seem to have. And I love the fact that the goals he scored as well, they've been not selfish is not the right word, but they're backing his own ability. He's backed his own technical ability. And I want to see him on, of course. I mean, but then you look at that bench and it's just absolutely blessed with quality. I mean, if any of those come on, we're lucky boys, aren't we? Because it's a very good bench. But yeah, Cole for me. I want to see him on today because what a player.
Guess as well, like you said as well, Mahrez and Sterling though as well. I think coming on to try and grab a few goals is.
That's the thing. If you're a defender for Palace and you've done well and you're keeping a clean sheet and them two come on, you're like, ugh. So. Yeah, there's no let up for these defenders today, and we've relied on Raheem and Riyad over the last few years, so it'd be nice to see them, and they're both in my dream team.
Yeah, hey, there we go. Lovely. All right. Now, we mentioned before, City in the community is celebrating 35 years. There is that raffle that you can enter. Now, it closes at midnight tomorrow, so get your tickets in. Some incredible prizes up for grabs. But just have a little look at some of the work that they do in such a variety of areas. One of them, of course, is a big focus on mental health. And this week, John Stones dialed into a session to find out what it was just all about and what goes on.
Can you see me?
Hello. Hi John, thank you for joining us today.
Anytime, no problem.
So City 5 is a new initiative in partnership with CAMS and the Royal Manchester Children's Hospital to really support the mental health and well-being of our participants around Greater Manchester. We're doing this through education workshops, football sessions, one-to-one mentoring, and using a real blended approach to kind of try and tackle the stigma around mental health conversations using education around those subjects.
Hi John Stone, you're right there.
Hi mate, you alright?
What thing would you do when mental health is down?
It's so difficult, I think, because I always revert back to family or friends or people that you trust and definitely speak to them and have you say get whatever you want out there on the table and let them tell you their opinions, and obviously those people that you trust are going to be honest with you, and the main thing is first step dealing with it and recognizing that you need help, and that's something that's so hard to do. I think taking that first step and then ask people what their opinion is and ask for help.
Hello, lovely.
Hello.
Does social media have effect on your mental health, and how do you control it?
It takes up so much time. It's such a great thing where we can share and share nice things, and I think society now is so negative, and that's why it's created around this, being able to say negative things to people instead of looking at the positives in people or the positives in something that's happened, or not dwelling on a negative. But I think social media really does create that around you as a person, or being able to reach out to someone in whatever part of the world, whatever job they want. So for me, I think it's great, posting pictures, posting good pictures, or showing some content that you've made. But then switching it off and not looking at it.
Thanks, John.
No worries. Cheers, guys. Take care.
So So closes midnight tomorrow for you to get your entries in for that prize draw. As I say, brilliant prize up for grabbing, such an incredible project as well in City in the community. Right, the teams are in the tunnel. They've just come out on the pitch now. So quickly before we hand over to Alistair Mann, predictions from my guests in the studio. Joleon, how can you see this one playing out?
Stubborn first period for Palace, but I'm going to say 2-0. 2-0 City.
2-0 from Joleon. What about from you, Stephen?
I'll go for a 3-1.
Go for a 3-1?
Yeah.
No.
I'm just I'm happy for a win today. I know it sounds obvious, but today I'm just
want the win.
Yeah, I don't want to humiliate Patrick. You know, not that I am. But, you know what I mean?
Keep it on good terms.
Pep.
Yeah, we'll be
politely kind.
Well, there they are. The boys have just entered out onto the pitch, so it's now time for me to hand over to Alistair Mann for the commentary, and Joleon, myself, and Stephen will be back at half time, then at full time. Go grab yourself a brew and enjoy the game. Come on, City.